Hey there! I hope you're having a beautiful day. I'm Becky North, and I'm here with my favorite Fleming gal, Lacey Verbeck. How are you today, Lacey?
Hey, Becky, I am doing wonderful. I had my favorite donut for breakfast this morning. That started my day off with a bang. Yeah, mushroom coffee, my favorite donut. By the way, shout out to Parlor Donuts. If you've never heard of Parlor Donuts, learn about Parlor Donuts because it's awesome.
They're cronuts.
Crow nuts, my favorite. So
Yes.
good.
We
So
have a
that's
Parlor
going
Donuts.
on, and I'm excited to be back this first of the year. It's mid first of the year now. It's middle of January already, and Becky and I won't speak for you, but I am feeling refreshed after our break. So thank you, Flamingals and a beautiful community, for your patience while we take care of ourselves and incorporate a little rest. But I am
Yes.
ready. It's my birthday month, and I am ready to be back. All right, how about you, Becky?
I love that. I missed you guys, all of you. I missed you, Lacey. I missed our
Yeah.
community. I am excited about the new year and what is coming with it. And it's kind of cold here today, which actually I'm like, that's okay. Let's get through winter. Let's have the season of rest. And
Yes.
and so I'm just trying to stay in tune with Mother Nature and the seasons and listen to my body and let this time be a time of rest and, recharge and all of those things that are happening all around us this time of year. So at least here in the U.S. where it is the season of winter. So yeah.
I love your beaner. That's very winter.
Thanks. I made it. Oh, I just hit my mic. I made
you
it.
made it?
And
Oh, so
it's
cute.
cozy and it keeps me warm and it hides bad hair. So,
Hey, girl.
winner, chicken dinner.
Well, I love it. It's adorbs. And I'm learning to love hats. The less I care about my appearance, the more I love hats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's coming along. That's
Well,
new.
maybe I'll make you one.
I would love it. I have the other thing you made me, and I love it. So, the pretty shawl. Yeah. I
I'm
think we're ready.
excited. Should we go ahead and jump in?
Yeah. We have
Okay.
we have an exciting announcement. Okay, go.
Exciting. Okay, go ahead and find your cozy corner, grab your favorite drink, and let's hang out for just a bit.
Today, we're kicking off a new mini-series called The Overextended Mom. Because somewhere along the way, doing it all became the expectation, not the exception. We're starting the series off by talking about overscheduling and what happens when our lives are so full that there's no room left to breathe. In this first episode, we're unpacking how packed calendars, constant commitments, and the pressure to say yes to everything slowly drain our energy and our joy. We'll talk about how overscheduling sneaks in, why it feels so hard to slow down, and how being busy all the time has become normalized, even when it's costing us more than we realize.
Then, in part 2, we'll dive into the emotional side of being overextended, giving too much, carrying the invisible load, and being the one everybody relies on, often at our own expense.
In part 3, we'll focus on what comes next, how to say no without guilt, create space for ourselves again, and build a life that feels more sustainable, calm, and most importantly, aligned.
Yes.
I can't wait to do this series with you, Becky. Our other series was such a fun experiment, and it was so well received by our audience. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked
Yeah.
about the series.
Me too.
We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks, as in just our casual conversations during break. Is why the series are so much fun and so informative and so kind of impactful. And they're fun. They're fun to develop, and it's fun to think about, and really topics. A lot of the topics we're bringing forward are full enough and broad enough and complex enough that they need more than one episode, right? They need a little more airtime than what we can do in just one episode. So I think that's going to be the case here. And I just want to say I'm proud of us for not necessarily going the traditional New Year's route either. I just want to say that because I think there's just an awful lot of noise. Here we are. We find ourselves in January of 2026 for you listeners, in case you're listening to it a different time. And I think there's just a lot of noise. There's a lot of programs. There's a lot of sign up for this, learn about this, New Year's resolution this, lose weight, find feel better in the new year, all this sort of stuff. And while I think there's absolutely going to be some helpful advice in this series, I feel like that's just not. It's just not our highest and best use, Becky.
Yes,
and,
I agree. And I want to say I actually in tune with that. My husband at his work, they have a professional development thing that they've been working through. And he said one of the things that they talked about in there this week was that January is not when you should be setting new goals. And I was interesting. And she really talked about the seasons and how winter is a time to revitalize, to rest, to recharge, to all of those things. And that in her opinion, that when you should be setting goals is in spring when new life comes.
I was like
that. That's pretty cool. So shout out to her and to my husband for sharing that with me, because I thought,
such a good nugget. Yeah, such a good nugget. And something really wonderful was born in the spring 2 years ago, and that is this wonderful, amazing podcast and community. Yeah. So we're looking forward to anniversary number 2, or birthday. Yes. I guess we called it a birthday last year. We'll call it a birthday again. Birthday number 2 is coming in April. So stay tuned for exciting new developments with the podcast and with the community. So thank you all for being here before we get started. But I'm ready to dive in, Becky. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I think today we're just talking about really, like you said, being book solid, looking at the calendar and being like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? And I don't know if that happens to you, but when I look at my calendar and I'm like, woo, how did we get here?
Definitely had that.
But where I want to start is that I think that normally my calendar gets overbooked because I started with good intentions.
Ooh, I love that. Say more. What were some of your good intentions?
I think that sometimes we say yes because we want to give our kids something different, or because we want to, we know that a friend in our circle is this, or there are just a lot of different reasons why we say yes in the moment. And sometimes we say yes without the whole vision in front of us, right? And I think, honestly, more often than not, whether you're a mom or a dad, that typically our calendars are getting overbooked because it starts with the best intentions. It's not about... I'm going to assume some innocence here, okay? It's not about I have to do all the things, be all of the things. This is how I want to look on social media. This is that. For some people it might be, but I think for the most general population, I think for our flock, for you, mama, who's listening right now, that's probably not the case. That you're probably looking at your calendar being like, how in the flock did we get here? Because it started with good intentions.
Yeah, I love that's such a positive way to start this episode. I love that. And I consider myself a very intentional person, and I can say with confidence that a good portion of the reason why I ever lived in an overscheduled state is definitely because of good intentions. But it's easy for good intentions to lead to harm, self-harm. You know what I mean? It's easy, and just because it started with a good intention doesn't mean that it has a permanent place in your life.
Absolutely. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Right? I have that on my list too, that sometimes we have to look and we have to say, does this still serve us? right?
Or am I in a new, I
Yeah.
say this all the time, but am I in a new age and stage? You know, what
Yep.
does this age and stage require, or what
Yeah.
do I need most in this phase
Yeah.
of life I'm in? And maybe, Becky, maybe it makes sense for us to pause for just a minute and talk about kind of our current state, because I think this current state of you and I is actually really opposite.
Very different. Yeah.
Really opposite. And I think it's an interesting bit of context around why we're doing this episode and why we're giving this advice and why this discussion is even important. We feel is important is because I've sort of been there, done that, and I'm not necessarily in that age and stage anymore.
Right.
And you're in it.
Yeah.
So I think our perspectives are gonna be really interesting here. And maybe I'll start and give you a chance
go
to
ahead.
think, since I just kind of threw this at you. But
Yeah.
For me, I think I was queen bee, overextended mom. For ever since my children were born, probably. And they're now 17 and 21, and I'm the contrast of my life then and my life now is incredible. The contrast, and what I mean is healthy versus unhealthy, happy versus unhappy.
Yeah.
Solid, like grounded versus very untethered. If I'm talking about feelings and energy, I was, when I was queen bee, when I was doing everything, when I was doing everything for everybody. I'm realizing now that at the time there was some people pleasing going on, which I know we can talk more about that as well, because I think that's an important point in why moms overschedule, overplan, overextend is people pleasing. And like you said, Becky, there's good intention behind it often, and I think that was the case for me. But that doesn't mean it wasn't people pleasing. It was, and so. Now I'm at the point now. I'm at the point now where I'm recognizing that the reason it felt so hard was that I wasn't giving myself space to consider my behavior. I was just doing. I was just caught in the doing. Right? I was like, we got to get the kids here. We got to get the kids there. We got to do this. We got to have dinner. We got to make sure someone feels seen for their birthday. Got to make sure we're, making sure our kids are studying, making sure our kids are getting time for dinner, making sure we're doing things as a family, all the things. And when you're in it, you don't see the error of your ways. You don't see the harm. You don't see the exhaustion. Right? And typically you're young enough at that time that your body's not giving you loud feedback yet. Right? So you're pounding it, you're doing too much, you're going all the way, you're running, full speed ahead towards an invisible finish line, right? But you're not getting loud enough feedback yet. Maybe you are socially, but you're not getting loud enough feedback from your body, and from your mind and from your heart. That once you actually create a little space, everything you start to go, oh, that hurts, or why did that happen, or why do I feel miserable, or why am I depressed, or why do I need meds to function? Right? Because you finally slowed down. Or your body forced you to stop.
Yep.
Or forced you to slow down, which I think we've all probably experienced a time or two, and you'll experience it more if you don't stop. The older you get, the louder your body becomes. And from listening to other episodes, ladies, that Becky and I are at that age and stage where our body's starting to get loud. And it's a gift. It's a challenge, but it's a gift, because never before have I been still or slowed down enough to hear the signals.
Yes.
You know, it's like my GPS. It's like I had a GPS in my car all along, but I had it silenced. Right? Like the GPS was the guidance system was turned off because I was too busy to listen.
Yep.
You know, and I know that was a long roundabout story, but I guess what my point is that I think overscheduling is a season. I think the inclination to overschedule is a season, and it's also an opportunity for growth. It's a messenger. Yeah. It's a messenger that maybe you've got some lessons or some unpacking. You know, some things that need to be done.
Yeah. No, better. I completely agree with you. So we talked about our, we're kind of at different ages and stages in our life. And so my kids are 11, 13, and 15. And I will say something that happened, like, this is related, I promise, but like over break was I became acutely aware of how quickly that time is wrapping up. Like, which I think I'm kind of always thinking about as a mom. I think a lot of us think about that, right? But like,
yeah,
I mean, I really had this like, whoa moment. And so I did put everything away. Like literally I tabled everything that I thought I was going to do over break to just be present with my kids, which was a beautiful thing.
Oh, proud of you. That's awesome.
But we are in the busy season of life. And it's funny because I talk to people and I talk about, man, I thought it was busy when my kids were little, right? Like I thought I had no idea. Right? Like,
yep.
but I'm really so glad that you said that about like this being a season, because I like put on here, like sometimes we choose the busy because it's the best right choice for us and our families. Ooh. In the moment, right? Because we do want to give our kids something different, right? And we want them to be involved, and we see them starting to mark their path, and we want to pour into that with them, right? And yep. I think that it's important to say sometimes that is an active choice that we make, and it is a choice, and it is hard, and it is that, but we also have to make the choice for rest. We also have to make the choice for downtime. We like both can exist, and it can be hard, but how do you find that? Because a full life and a frantic life are not the same thing.
Oh, no. No. And it's such a good point, Becky. And what came up for me was it was that not only is it a choice for us, but it's an example. It's a model for our children, right?
Yes.
Do we have you ever asked yourself that question? Like, do I want my children to go through life the way I went through it? Right. The way I chose to go through it when my children were little? Do I want to see that repeated? Yeah. Would I want my child to have the same experience that I had? And maybe if the answer is yes, well, bravo.
Right.
You know? And if the answer is no, well, welcome to the party. Because I think a lot of moms, myself included, would wish more intentional downtime for my children. Mm-hmm. I would wish that they didn't have so many pulls on their attention, so many people needing of their energy and connection. Like, I would wish for them that they could go through the time with their children, say this birth to 18, right? Time frame. My wish would be for them that they have the nothing but options, right? Less expectation and more options to choose from. And I've always hated it when people said this to me, but I am the example. Mm-hmm. I am. And we're gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna learn from them, and that in itself is a good example. right?
Yep.
Is the learning from. But if but when you make choices that contribute to overextension, that contribute to overscheduling, you're teaching your children something.
Yeah.
It's a silent message that being still is not enough.
Yes, and it's not just how your children will function in the future. If you think that they don't feel the frantic that you have right now, like the impact is almost doubled. Right? Because we are modeling, we are being the example, and like they are feeling it in the here and now, even if they're not voicing it, even if they're not saying it, even if they're not that. And I think I became really kind of acutely aware of that in the last couple of years with my children. And one of the things specifically around scheduling, and if they say like, oh, I want to do this, like we have an honest conversation. Like, okay, well, if we choose to take that route, we have to give something else up. Like, there's not, and that's hard, right? Because as parents, I think we want to give our kids the world, right? And to be like, first of all, there's more than one of you, right? And like, let's look at the hours in the day. So if we're choosing to bring on another consistent activity, we have to look at giving something else up, and that's okay. Like, because not everything serves us forever, right? But if you want to do cheerleading, we're not going to do dance.
Yep.
Right?
Wow.
And I know that not all parents are in alignment with what I just said, and that's okay, because this is what works for my family and for me, because it has to, right? Because we have to have the space for the other things.
I love it. You do such a good job helping your children, I think, have visibility into your thought process and into your value system. And that's so important. And I think I see you as being someone who's really good at that. Your children, your children are going to benefit tremendously from that, because there's going to, they're going to be our age someday when they're saying, hey, what are my values, and is this in alignment with them? Right? Yeah. And the sooner they can get there, the sooner they're getting the message of values equals a full and happy life, right? Leading with a set of values and navigating life based on those values is a path to happiness, in my opinion.
Yes.
And the sooner they see that from you, the more likely they are to adopt that and use that earlier on in their life to prevent suffering.
Yeah.
And it's two things from my notes that I wanted to share, Becky. But actually, let me share one before we go on. One, you know me and my definitions. So as I was writing about this, the word busy. And I know busy is an overused word, right? But it's a word that I say a lot. Oh, no, I'm too busy. Or, why do I always feel so busy in my head? Or, we better get busy. Or, I use the word busy a lot, and I recognize that. And kind of like our episode, Becky, when we talked last season, I think it was, where we talked about fine. The word fine, right? I think the word busy is overused just as much as the word fine. Yes. that you just hear it everywhere. Think about it. Think about how many times you probably use the word busy in a week. A lot, right? Yeah. And so I thought, what is the actual definition of busy? As I was researching and writing notes, and something, I noticed something. The definition is very simple. The definition is having a great deal to do. Okay, so that's not in itself innately negative. Right. You have a great deal to do. Well, maybe that's good. Maybe that's great for you. Maybe that's not good for you. But it isn't an innately negative definition. But here are some synonyms or similar words that the dictionary website I was on brought up. And these, just pay attention to how these feel in your body. hard pressed, time poor, on the job, bustling, tireless, on the go, hard at it, having one's hands full. Now, how did those words make you feel in your body?
No, thank you.
Right? Like, oh my God. Like, when I read this, I was like, ugh. I don't want to be busy. Ugh. You know, and I'm already, as I said earlier, in the age and stage where I don't need any more busyness. I'm done with busy. Okay? But I'm done with the mothering part of the busy part of mothering, okay? But just, I mean, something so simple as a definition of a word we use all the time, and yet it has a negative energetic weight to it. So
it affects our nervous system.
Yes.
Busy affects our nervous system. Period.
Yes.
There's no way it cannot.
Is this something we need to be moving towards? Is this something we need more of? No. No. But there are times where you can't escape it. Let's talk about that, right,
Agreed.
Becky? I mean, there are times where it is what it is. There's times, right? But when there is an opportunity for a choice, why would you choose this?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, and when there are the times of it is what it is, that should be for a season, not forever.
Yes. Agreed.
Right? Like,
yes.
it's I'm so glad you brought this point. So glad. So, we watched this show recently. I promise this ties in. And it was by Magnolia Network, and it was called Back to the Frontier. And these 3 families went, and the premise of the show is they spent 6 weeks, and they had to live as though it was 1880.
Oh my God.
And like farming and gardening, and they talked about all of this. And you know, in the show they're showing some of the very physically demanding, hard manual labor that was happening during those times. But there was rest at the end of the day, because the sun went down, and there had to be, because you couldn't be busy. Right? Like, because of that. And I think about, like, while the physical daily demands, like the physical work was much, much different in that time, rest was built in.
Oh, that's such a good point.
And today we pack our schedules full, and there's not space for rest.
Yes.
There's not space for moments without an agenda. And the truth is those are the moments where the magic happens. Right? And the unplanned things. I'm not saying don't do things. I'm not saying, it is funny how as I've gotten older in life, I have become more, I don't want to say reclusive, because that doesn't feel like the right word, but I'm a lot more inner, right? I don't necessarily have to leave the house to do all of the things, right? I will, and there are times where I'm like, we gotta go. We need to get out, right? But I don't feel that need as much as I did even when my kids were younger, right? Like, and I think that is part of it, because I think you asked, Lacey, like, how do we get here? Why do we choose this? And I think society has taught us, if you want it, you have to work, you have to grind, you don't stop, you keep going, you do this, you do that. And they talk about the hustle, and they don't talk about the rest, or what happens if you don't, the crash, right? Because that's what's going to happen. The rest has to come, or the crash has to come. And so there is this external noise, let's say, like this just buzz in the air about if I'm not busy, I'm not productive. And I have to be, I have to be productive. I have to be productive. I have to be productive. And when I slow down, I'm not productive. And so
That
it
was
triggers,
me.
it
Yes.
triggers guilt.
Yes.
It triggers guilt. And it's like,
Yes.
oh, I can't do this because if I do this, then this isn't happening. Right. Whereas really what needs to happen is our bodies need to rest. They need to recuperate. They need to do that so we stay healthy, so we stay present, so we that.
Yes.
Because if we don't take care of our bodies, and we talk about self-care in every episode, right? Like,
Yep,
and,
we do.
and I want to say, like, Lacey, I think you would agree with this. We talk about things that are very real to us right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is very real to us right now. And if we are not making the quiet, the unscheduled time a priority also, our bodies will.
Yep. By force.
Our bodies will. By force.
By force.
And so,
yes.
and that is going to have a far greater impact, not just on your physical health, your mental health, your that, but like on everything else. Because all of the plates that you're holding will fall, at least temporarily. Right?
Yes.
Because nobody can be all of the things. So it doesn't even matter how amazing your partner is or how amazing your village is. And while people are going to step in and help support you, hopefully in those situations, like nobody can do all of the things because there are only so many hours in a day. So
Yes.
what if we just say, this is as big a priority? Like, what if we let go of the guilt of it? Oh, man, you need to rest? I want to hold the space for that. Absolutely. Go rest. Like, do what you need to do. You need time that is quiet by yourself? Okay. Like, I support you and I love you. I said to you today, Lacey, like,
Yeah,
you don't need
you
my
did.
input, but you get my love. Right? So what if also, as people in this flock or people in our village or whatever you want to call it for you, what if we say, man, I recognize that time is sacred. Please take
Yes.
it. Please take it.
Yes.
Because doesn't
Yes.
that mean more than the go, go, go?
Well, that's such a beautiful. You brought the word meaning into this, and yes, it means more. Absolutely, it means more. But to me younger me, meaning never entered the conversation. Right? Meaning to me, to young me, it was never about meaning. It was about drive. It was about accomplishment. It was about achieving. It was about checking the box. It was about how much did I do? How productive was I? And I still, Becky, I struggle to this day to lay down productivity and rest.
Same.
But to me, rest was mechanical when I was younger. Rest was like, okay, well, I have to take my overscheduled life and schedule in an hour's rest. Okay, well, I could take 45-minute nap because that's a sleep cycle for me. So I only need an hour. I need 5 minutes down, 5 minutes up, and I need 45 minutes of sleep cycle. Okay, I need an hour, right? But so to me, rest was like a transaction. Rest was like, just I'm gonna do a thing called rest. Right? But now I understand rest is a state of being. Rest is not a transaction. Rest is an energy. It's a bubble you surround yourself with that is loving. That is self-care. That is respectful of your
And rest
of your physical body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And rest does not always mean sleep.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right? Sometimes rest is sitting outside in the sun reading a book. Sometimes rest is taking a walk around the neighborhood by
Yes.
yourself, listening to your
Yes.
favorite podcast. Hint, hint. I'm just playing. But, sometimes rest is painting because you love it and it brings you joy, right? Rest is what revitalizes you.
Yes.
It is not necessarily sleep. Does sleep count as rest? Absolutely. But is that the only form of rest? No.
No.
And I don't think my
couldn't agree
younger self knew that.
No, I definitely didn't. No, and I apologize to her. I apologize right here, right now. I'm sorry that I didn't see you and all that
Yeah.
you were doing, and all the and the sort of the misguided pretense you were under, that there wasn't anybody else.
Yeah.
Or
And
that,
thank you for
Yeah.
doing the very best you could,
Yeah.
given that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? We've worked some miracles, haven't we, girl? I mean, they're the power of a motivated woman. Let's just say this for all you beautiful ladies out there, that the power of a motivated woman is unstoppable.
Yes.
And that's pretty fucking cool, isn't it? But that doesn't mean that we have to run ourselves into the ground.
No, yeah.
Please don't. Your body will at some point have enough. I've had
Yeah.
enough. Your body will say no at some point.
Well,
And
and I
the
think-
goal shouldn't be to get to that breakdown as
Yeah.
soon as possible. The goal
Right.
should be to say, okay, well, maybe there's going to be a hard no here at some point, but I'm going to take my time getting there and try to have some fun along the way, right? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, I think the only way to change that is for older me and older Lacey and the women who have been through it to start talking about it. Let's I have such a love-hate relationship with social media, mostly hate right now, if I'm honest, but because I see the busy and the hustle and this is the image that I have to portray when I would really rather just see your real life. Right? And I think that we owe it. And I'm going to say it like that because that is the right word. And I'm very mindful of that. I try not to do the shoulds and the blah blahs, but we owe it to younger generations. We owe it to our daughters to speak out and create a new normal.
Oh, yes.
Right? Because the only reason change happens is because somebody does it. And if it's there's a balance here of we're talking about the quiet, right? And making space and making time for the quiet, but we also need to be talking about the quiet out loud. We need to normalize it. We need to normalize, hey, I have work to do here. I have rest to do here. I have revitalization to do here. And that's normal.
Yes.
And if we don't stop talking about it, it is only going to get worse.
So agree. And, something that came up for me as you were saying that is this past holiday season was a hard one for me. It was a hard one. I'll just leave it at that. But it was a hard one. And as the end of the year came and then the new year was approaching, I had a lot of processing to do. And I hope I hope you understand what I mean when I use that word. And what I mean is, I mean time with Lacey. I mean introspection. I mean prayer. Sometimes I mean feral, angry, pillow smashing energy release. Sometimes I mean isolation. Sometimes I mean writing in a journal. Sometimes I mean screaming into a pillow. it can mean a lot of things, okay? But processing it, I mean processing emotion. I mean processing situations. I mean processing something that's weighing on me or something that's got me angry or hurt. Okay? So those processing emotions was something that I had to do just this past, just 3 weeks ago here. And I'm probably still honestly working on it, if I'm being honest. But the thing that I want to say, if you are choosing or find yourself living in this overscheduled, overextended, way, that the one thing you're missing is the time and space to process. You're gonna miss it, and you're gonna miss it, and you need it.
Yep.
And yes, 47-year-old me needs it more than 27-year-old me. Okay, again, the age and stage comes into play here, but processing doesn't happen in it. Processing can't happen. You can't move things through your body and release them, or move things through your heart space and release them. Forgiveness, all these kinds of things can't happen when you are full tilt boogie. And that's a funny word someone told me many years ago. When you are full tilt boogie, when you are running at the wall 100 miles an hour and you got no time, no space for you, and you are just do, you can't process. And when we can't process, what happens? When we can't process, we internalize, we hide, we suppress, right? We take stressful things and we go, nope, no time for that, and we put it into our body. And I'm reading this new book, and that is very much connected to this, Becky. And I'm sure you have a better word for what I just said, so I'm interested to hear what you have to say in a minute. But when it's a book called When the Body Says No. Dr. Gabor Mate is his name. Anyway, the book is about the stress response, and how when we embody stress because we're not processing it, or we're carrying trauma from childhood, or trauma from other bad situations in life or whatnot, when we embody stress, there's a physiological and psychological connection, right? That when we don't let hard things or stressors go by processing, they land in our bodies, and that equals disease.
Shows up as dis-ease.
Can equal disease, right? Not 100% of the time, but there is a tremendous body of evidence emerging in the medical community that proves that. Now, if you knew that, hearing that, making space in your calendar becomes a medical need.
I agree. And let's talk about this a little bit deeper, Lacey, if you don't mind. And I know, I know we're going to talk about different things in the mini series, and in part 3, we're going to really talk about some of the how, but I think it's important to talk about a little bit here, because we talked about there's different seasons, right? And the different seasons of life that you're in. And when I'm in it, like particularly fall and spring seasons of the year right now are really very crazy for me, right? Yeah. And I know that, and we choose that. As a family, we sat down, we talked about it, we choose that, okay? But how do you make space in those times, right? And because I think that sometimes, that's what we have to do. And I use have to very lightly there, but it is, we get to look at that and say, okay, well, how do I still create the space for this? So if you're running your kid to practice 3 days a week, could you sit in the car and read your favorite book?
Yes.
Or call your best friend just to talk.
Yeah. Or meditate
during that time.
Or pray.
Meditate. Or take a freaking nap. If that's what you need to do, right? Yes. I really loved football season time, because I got this, I would take my shoes off and put my feet in the dirt and right. And just And I
Yes.
was watching the practice most times because I enjoy that, but I don't have to, right? Like,
Yeah.
there are things that you can do. If you have multiple kids and you are going for a day, can you choose that today we're going to grab dinner out to take one thing off of our plate?
Sure. Of course.
Can that be part of
Yeah.
your plan? Or can you get your favorite drink? Maybe it's not everybody. Maybe it's just a little something for you, right? Can
Yes.
you carve 10 minutes of your day for meditation?
Sure.
Right? Can you, like, I think in it sometimes, like you said, we can't necessarily process that, so we get the opportunity to take and look at it big picture, fly above it 50,000 feet and say, where can I create that space
I love
and
it.
make it a priority?
Yeah, it's a great point. Brilliant, Becky. And one thing, I had a fun experience with my journals this morning, and and for those of you watching us on YouTube, I'm showing a journal that I have that is called the Morning Sidekick Journal, and it's by Habit Nest. So look that up. But the Morning Sidekick Journal is all about the benefits of a morning of early rising and a morning ritual. So this is another. I know, Becky. I know we're going to talk about the hows more later, but this is another how. Is what if you need time and space for processing? If you need margin in your life, I've also heard it called margin. The thing that mothers need that we often don't have enough of is margin. And this I share this because this is something that's really helped me. I've always tended towards being an early riser, but this put structure around it that showed me that there are enough hours in the day. There are. And the way that we use those hours is a choice. And by getting up, and, like Becky said, and so by getting up at, like, let's say 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, maybe it's 6 for you, maybe it's 7 for you. I don't know. I don't care what it is, right? But if you're accustomed to waking up at say 7 a.m., what if you got up at 5:30 a.m.? What else is possible? Right? I guess the same goes with staying up later. If that's your jam, if you're a night owl and you want to stay up later, what does that look like, though? Right? What does it look like to find that space for you rather than just throwing it away watching Netflix or something? Which I love me some Netflix, okay? And I have favorite shows that I like to watch, and I choose to watch them. Yep. But I also make space, and it's not an option anymore. I make space for processing. I make space for me, for my healing, for my growth, for my development. And yes, I am in an age and stage where I have the ability to do that more easily, but it's still a choice.
Yep. Yes. Well, and I want to just say I know you have another point you want to make. This is my only other tip for around over scheduling and just booking your schedule solid is find a system that works for you. My husband is a digital calendar guy. He loves his digital calendar, and I respect that. And I use a digital calendar for work. I do this. We use Cozy. We've talked about Cozy before. I love Cozy, right? I love that we can assign there. I do better with a physical written planner. There's something about that for me.
I do too.
That really does better. And so much so that I'm willing to put in extra work to make both happen. Like I'm willing to do that. Like that for me actually doesn't feel like, oh, just another thing to do. It feels like a way that I'm meeting my own needs, and I'm pouring into me while still making sure like our family is running. And so I'm not saying that that's the case for everybody, but like find what works best for you, even if it's different. Even if it's different, right? Like physical and digital calendars are very, very different, right? But that's what works best for us. and finding that normal and saying like it's okay that it's different, and what are we willing to do in order to make it work for both people, I think is really, really important and will help with that, right? Because I have more awareness when I'm physically writing all of those things on the calendar that have to happen than just quickly putting it in the app, right? Like, and for me, that's really, really helpful, right? I understand why digital calendars work well for some people, but in my personal life, it's not really ever been the thing for me, and that's okay. But like, find what works for you and do it, whatever that is.
Yes, I love that. Great. It's a great point. And I'll add that I did an exercise for the first time ever last year, where I bought, I was in a program, and I had it was like a spiritual teacher, but she had this particular technique for applying some of the principles that she was sharing. And I at first I was like, nah, I don't love it. But then I was like, I'm on board, I'm going to try it. So I bought one of those, it's a wall calendar, and it's the whole year. So it's January to December. It's a big poster kind of thing. You put it on the wall.
Yep.
Okay. We'll link to one on our socials, just in case you want to look into it. But so it's January, and I would do this probably actually late December if I was doing this exercise from scratch again. And what I did was I literally went through the whole entire year, and I put in the sort of not negotiables, right? Like, okay, we have football from this month to this month, or we have Girl Scouts from this month to this month, or college break is this time, or high school spring break is this time, right? And I would put all those things in, and then and what it did was it painted a picture for me of peaks and valleys, right? It painted a picture of, look, this is going to be an intense week, or look, this is going to be an intense month, but look over here where we have lots of margin. Right. And it was just a very helpful way to kind of see the whole year and say, okay, I can breathe a little here, and we're going to have to put some mechanisms in place to support us during this time. Right. And I also, one of the most powerful things it taught me was that there is space for play, and that we should schedule play. Right? Like scheduling play, not just the everyday mundane, I got to do XYZ thing, but to schedule play, to say, hey, you know what? We're going to have a spring trip, and then in the fall, we're going to do a long weekend. Or we're going to go on a birthday trip and a 20th anniversary trip. And that's it for the year, right? And it allows you to hone in, aim at something, right? To aim at fun, to aim at vacations, to aim at rest, to aim at special occasions, whatever those are, or other priorities in your life. And while you can't write every single scheduled event on this calendar, because the blocks are very small and the poster is very large, what I was able to do is map out a sort of, I guess, category of something that I was going to do for me. So, for example, Mondays was baking. Tuesdays was and maybe it was Sunday now that I'm thinking about it. But anyway, you get the picture. There was reading one day. There was baking one day. There was taking a bath one day, right? So I was writing out in these little bitty boxes over and over again, in sort of week blocks, like this is what I'm gonna do, and then I could also see when those practices were gonna potentially get interrupted, right, by big things, and I could see that ahead of time, and I could plan for it, and I could say, okay, now I need to support myself here, or I need to bring someone in to run this part of my life, or I need to have a house cleaner, or I need to have groceries delivered, or whatever it is, because I could see big picture instead of being, you've heard the term, in the weeds, right?
Yep.
Instead of being in the weeds and looking at my weekly calendar saying, "Oh my God, look at all the weeds." Instead, this calendar was like 30,000 feet. I get to impact this. I get to decide.
Yep.
And I get to protect some of these, values or things that are important to you, right? Like self-care, for example. And I am so grateful for that experience, and I would do that again. And I would recommend anyone do that. It was very helpful. And when I look back on that year, I look back on it and I say, damn, I did that. Like, awesome, right? But it wasn't the kind of year that I was like, oh, thank God that's over, right? It wasn't the sigh of relief at the end because I'd run myself completely into the ground. Instead it was like an achievement. Look at that. I did that. I said I was going to do it, and I did it. And there's also, of course, Becky, there's also the self-forgiveness when something doesn't go right. Or you don't follow that rhythm, or you don't, or some influence that's out of your control comes in and it messes things up. But guess what? You've set up some guardrails for yourself. Hey, this is what I want to do. This is what's important to me. This is the source of my personal plan for this year that I can go back to anytime, even if we fall down. And so I couldn't agree more that resourcing, find that resource and use it to your advantage. For sure.
And there may be more than one, right? So just whatever those look like for you, because I love that idea and that exercise. A long time ago, when Becky was involved in MLMs, we all go through that stage, right? So, but I was at an event, and there was this guy. His name's David Bird, and he has a really awesome planner system, actually. But he talked to us a lot in this thing about, like, you plan your year, and then you plan your month, and then you plan your week, and then you plan your day. And I still, I don't know if I would say I've done as good a job of, like, laying out the year like you were talking about, but I do like to do, like, month view, week view, day view, right? Like, I really enjoy that exercise. But one of the things that he talked about was the things that you absolutely know are going to happen, you write and pin. And he was like, so when you're looking at your month schedule, before you're really filling in the details of your day and week, those things are typically written in pen, right? Like, Lacey's birthday on my calendar is written in pen because that's not going to change. It's Lacey's birthday, right? Like, that's there. And he goes, but then when you're coming in to your week, and even more specifically your day, you should write in pencil. You should have the flexibility to erase, rearrange, or reschedule.
I love that.
And I was like, oh, and to this day,
so juicy.
I still do that exercise, right? And there's something about the permission that he gave me by teaching that erase, revise, or reschedule, then takes away the guilt if I do that.
Yes.
And maybe that's why I love physical planners so much. I don't know, because it feels different than hitting delete or whatever, right? But so just find what works for you.
Yes, I love that so much. I also write in pencil in my planner, and I didn't know why, but turns out that's probably why. That's cool.
Turns out why.
That.
Yeah.
I love
cool
that.
Thing.
I have just two more things, I think, to share. Actually, I got a couple more things to share. My husband, I brought this topic up to my husband because I wanted him to reflect back to me what his experience was when we were living overscheduled, and when I was overextending myself as a mother. I wanted him to reflect back to me a little bit, and I had to really get myself ready for this because I didn't want to get mad at him, right? Like, I really had to prepare. You're welcome. I did the research by asking a question I didn't want to know the answer to so that I could speak to this on the podcast. But I really, with the intent of sharing something hopefully useful, I did put myself in that position to hear something probably that I didn't really ever want to know. But he said to me, he said, the energy of you being overscheduled and overextended, he said the best word I have for it is territorial. And at first I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I was like, ooh, actually, does that make sense?
I think I get it.
I think it does make sense. And what he meant was that when moms have claimed the territory of all the things, dads who could be more involved aren't more involved. I've also heard this said a different way, that sometimes moms, we're so exhausted and we get so, fragmented and upset and stressed and exhausted because we're the center of the solar system. Mm-hmm. Think of your family as the solar system and all the planets swirling around, and you're the center. And that sounds really great until it doesn't, right? That sounds beautiful until it becomes crippling.
Yeah.
Right? And so when he said territorial, I was like, oh, but he's right. When we overschedule, overextend, try to do it all, say that we're going to be everything to everybody, we keep out the help. Yeah. We push, we eliminate the possibility of support.
Yep.
That could be there. Now there's some POS men who are not ready to help their woman, and whatever, shame on them, right? But I mean, we eliminate the possibility of help.
Yeah, but not just from our partners, from our friends, from other women, from other moms, from other, dads, from your village, from your flock. Like, you're eliminating it from everywhere.
Uh-huh. And I was like, ooh, I do not like that at all. And then I said, well, why? I asked the question, well, why do we do this? Why do we do this overscheduling, overextension? Why is this, so common? And he had 3 points. He said, I think parents do it, but specifically mothers do it to offer a variety of experiences for the kids. Right? That our intention is to offer a variety of experiences and immerse our children to help them find their way in life, to help them find their love, their passion, their pursuit. Okay? And I was like, okay, love that. Beautiful. Then he says, guilt. Guilt and social pressure is why we do this. And I was like, can't deny that. Yep. Also, safety. This was an interesting one. It took me a minute to get my head around. He said, we do this to keep our kids out of trouble. Like, there's an undertone of safety that we engage them in all the things to subconsciously keep them safe. Like, it's that, and I was like,
they're so busy doing sports, they can't be doing drugs. See it.
See, right, exactly, safety. And I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't think about that. And then I thought, you know what, there is something, like, I've had the thought, even just with my teenage son who's 17 now, I've had the thought that, like, I had the desire to overschedule and overplan and put him into all the things because I didn't want him sitting around. I didn't want him sitting around rotting his brain on video games or getting fat and eating all the snacks or whatever. And so I would put him in I'd put him in the programs because it was the next logical thing that was going to keep him from just slothing around and not doing anything. Think about it. Like, when we were kids, when I was a kid, kids were, I'm going to use the word feral. Okay, like I was feral. I grew up running the neighborhood. I'd ride my bike 3 miles down the road. I'd go to the pizza place myself. I'd meet up with my friends and we go swim in a lake with no life preservers, no safety gear, no nothing. You know, I mean, I grew up wild, okay? And our kids don't have that. As parents, we don't think about it. We don't create opportunities for our kids to be feral these days. Most of us, you know, we have home, we have school, and we have work, and then we have extracurriculars for kids, right? And so, like we choose overscheduling, over-involvement, overextension because it's the only thing that's going to keep our kids off the couch and sitting around the house all the time. And I was like, wow, this is all really, like, he's a smart man, but like, that's all stuff that I hadn't necessarily even prepared for this conversation, but I was like, that's so true. All of that. And so anyway, well done, Hub. Thanks for the insights. But do you agree with any of that?
No, absolutely. He's a little spot on. Damn you, Bob.
Damn you, Bob.
No, I agree. But I will say I was listening to this really interesting YouTube clip this week from a lady who I really enjoyed. My husband sent it to our family, actually, and he was like, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. And one of the things that she talked about in that was how when we were growing up, there was a pause, like the gratification period between we're going to go swim in the lake and that actually happening was not instant. And she actually used Blockbuster as an example. She was like, I had a Blockbuster membership, and if there was a movie I really wanted to watch, I'd be like, Mom, Dad, can we please get this movie? And she goes, and it would often be like several days before we went to Blockbuster, and then we were walking down, and she's like, and then you get there, and it's kind of like either worn off a little because it's been so long since the urge, or maybe they're out, or that. And she was like, but now if a kid wants to watch a movie, they could be watching it 5 seconds later. Like instant the gratification period has changed, which I also think probably plays into us feeling the need to be more, do more, have more, like that over scheduling, overbooked falls right into that, because it's, we have to keep up, right? We have to keep up with this. And one of the things my husband has done with our kids for a very, very long time, and it used to annoy the piss out of me, and older Becky is now very grateful for, is, well, okay, that's fine. Now's your time to be bored. And he has talked to them about how important being bored is, and really creating the space for being bored.
Interesting.
So
margin. Same thing we've been talking about. Margin for boredom. Yeah. Wow. And I think as adults, we've learned the lesson of boredom. Hopefully many of us by now have learned the lesson of boredom, but so I don't know that we need to necessarily repeat that lesson, but apply that same principle. Margin for processing, margin for fun, margin for self-care, margin for I don't care, whatever it is, right? But we all need it. It's so important. I love that, Becky. So good. All the nuggets from our husbands. I love that. I wanted one last thing. I have a challenge for you, lady listeners of ours, Flamingals. Ask, do you love the way it is now? Ask yourself, do I love the way it is now? And answer yourself honestly. On paper, out loud, in private, whatever. Let us share it with us on social media. Share it with us in a text message. Do you love, if you're overscheduled and overextended, if you're exhausted, if this is a monster of your own making, that's okay. You're not alone. But do you love it? Do you love the way it is now? And if you don't, do yourself a favor and tell yourself honestly what the answer is, and then take steps and change it. If it needs
Yep.
changing. And if your answer is heck yes, then amazing. Bravo you,
Yes.
right? And we're cheering for you either way.
Yeah.
Becky and I both are. But I think it's we don't stop and ask ourselves enough. Do I love
We
it?
don't stop.
Right? Do I
Enough.
love it? Yes. And so a lot of times I struggle, like when I don't have a good prompt, I struggle to name what's happening with me. Or I struggle to address the challenge when I don't have a prompt. So we're offering you this prompt. Do I love the way it is now? And so think on that. Think on that. And you just encourage, we encourage you to make change if the answer's no.
Yes.
And I think that's it, Becky. Is that
I
it?
think so. I think
Okay.
so. This was a great episode. I'm so excited for the next one, where we are going to just be really diving into, like I said, that the emotional side, the feelings that come with being overextended.
Can't wait. All right, ladies, until next time. Bye-bye.